From the smallest of creatures to the largest. From the mundane, everyday objects to the unusual. Does everything matter? Author Ron Curry Jr. thinks it does. I set out on a journey to find out what Castleton professors and students thought about the book, and if they think everything really matters.
Yes, very much so. Matter of fact, I think it has all the right ingredients. It has sex, drugs, rock and roll, explosions, has everything. Dysfunctional families, intrigue, government skullduggery. It has all the things that would really make for a fine contemporary novel, especially for this particular age group.
As the person that I am, and the stage of life that I am, and the kind of fiction that I like, objectively I didn't. But if I were remembering what I thought about, what I cared about, how I looked at the world and what mattered to me when I was 18, 19, 20, when I was, where the people who are reading this book for the summer are, I would have loved it because it speaks to the kind of big questions that I cared about then, and it asks and tries to answer questions about, why we do what we do, and that really motivated me.
Everything Matters was a pretty good book. I enjoyed it a lot. I read it pretty quickly.
Actually, no, I did not like the book. I found it really depressing, kind of morbid. I found it kind of almost a negative impression for first-year students because some of the students that come in could possibly come from similar backgrounds that the characters in this book did, and it could just be a sore subject to walk in on freshman year.
I really liked the book. I found lots of great philosophical questions in it.
You get an idea of it's maybe a little weird, but once you get past that point and look deeper into it, you get an idea that there is a point to the book.
A general problem I find with contemporary male authors is that they don't write women characters very well, and especially when they're writing from the perspective of a woman. It never strikes me as very genuine. It strikes me as what, especially Ron Curry was in his 20s when he wrote this, it's what he would like women to be and what he would like them to think and what he would like them to feel, rather than what they probably, if there were a real woman in the situation of Amy, his girlfriend, the character's girlfriend, rather than what she might actually think or feel.
I think a freshman might be overwhelmed with it, but because it starts out very graphic, and as you continue to read, you might get an idea of this is a completely different idea of what I was planning on reading. And once you get past the point of thinking about the book itself and actually thinking about the plot and the message it's relaying, you can see that there is a point.
All my FYS students have to look at the book and, when they're reading, capture a scenario that they can personally relate to that has impacted their lives, whether it be a dysfunctional family member, whether it be a family member who unfortunately has succumbed to some type of a substance abuse, another family member who has experienced a love lost.
Freshmen especially should pay attention to the meaning behind this book because it allows them the opportunity to look into their actions their first year and see how it can affect following years.
Tons. One, just being an SOS leader. I know that if I hadn't been an SOS leader, I wouldn't have been able to help the amount of students at Castleton.
The whole me being a nursing major would be part of this journey of my life, would be because of one little thing that happened when I was younger. My mother got sick, and so that made me want to help her, but unable to help her, I wanted to help others. But I realized that I'm not always going to be able to help everybody. I can't make them that rocket ship that'll take them away from the asteroid, I have to make my connections that I have deep while I have the time and accept that the end's going to come whenever it comes.
Well, my first semester I commuted, I still commute, but I came to school, went home. Came to school, went home. I didn't stay on campus, I didn't mingle with anybody. Then I found that I wasn't making as many friends, so then I changed that my second semester and started staying on campus and hanging out in the gym or just with my friends from different classes.
In the end, the text addresses, probably the deepest ethical question there is. How should I live? What kind of person should I want to be? And with the grand thought experiment, which is the one that we've all thought of, if I could do it all over again, would I do it differently? And if so, how? And, I want to know as a philosopher, why would you do it different in that respect? So the text presents us with a life lived differently, and we're invited, to evaluate it. Was that a life lived better? If so, what made it go better? What were the features that Junior had in this second life, this different fork of the multiverse, that I want to identify as the ones that make the difference for me or for a person in general? What makes life go well?
Art, that art of creation, I guess you would say, it just keeps me from being bored. It really does give me a sense of who I am as a human being. And I think, why does art matter? Does it mean anything to me? You bet. It makes me feel much more human. And I find my place in this particular place called Earth, in the universe. I know where I am because of the fact that I embrace art as a way of living.
I thought about this in the context of my course, which is Coffee and World History, my FYS course. And there's a way in which, learning about the history of coffee, destroys illusions that are deliberately put up for us by the coffee industry. Learning that most of those people who actually produce coffees, the farmers that make it, don't really have enough money to survive. And so the coffee industry and Starbucks want us to believe that, there's sort of this idyllic farmers and sort of producing things with sun-dappled, fields of coffee farms in Latin America, or they don't want us to think about it at all. They want us to think, focus on the flavor and the notes of the coffee instead. But when you learn what goes into making, a cup of coffee, that's, the illusion that the coffee industry has created for us is destroyed, and you can often feel like I liked it better when when I thought coffee was just a nice drink that waked me up in the morning.
It doesn't matter to the point that they're saying in the book where it could be a drastic change, but minuscule things, not so much, but like major decisions, like for your major, choosing your major, that would have a huge impact, and what you do with it, that matters.
The main character's choices really affect what happens to the world, the people around him, and that is kind of the same way, it is the same way in real life. We never know who our choices affect. We never know what family members, what friends, even just people we wave at from across the street, we never know what our decisions and how our decisions will affect them.
As I told my FYS group, why is it that we pick up, when somebody drops something near us, why do we pick that thing up and hand it back to the person? Why do we let somebody out, when they're, let somebody pull out and, leave space for them with our car? Those are the kind of things that nobody talks about, If you watch the evening news or, all this sort of thing, you focus on all the bad things that humans do to one another, and you don't focus on the good. And, that's partly just our nature, but if you did, then you'd think about, why do people do those kind of things? And, I think ultimately that's the question that motivates him.
Yeah, everything does matter.